Welcome to the Grit Factor Podcast. I'm Drew Powell, and here we explore what it takes to succeed through the lens of guts, resilience, integrity, and tenacity. These are the values that drive high-performing leaders and shape the culture at the Insurance Group of America. Each episode will sit down with industry trailblazers, IGA team members, and inspiring professionals who have embraced grit to overcome challenges, seize opportunities, and create meaningful impact. Whether you're considering joining IGA or simply looking for the tools to take your career to the next level, you're in the right place. So buckle up. It's time to discover the Grit Factor. Super excited to have Alison Lyons on the podcast today. The second Alison of IGA, or the first Alison. You were here before her.
Yes, just slightly. So just a couple months I came back, yes.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. You were the one that you left and came back. We should talk about that.
Yes. Yes.
And sister to Jessie.
Yes. She's the mean one, though.
You're the kinder, nicer. Mm-hmm. Jessie's, yeah, we've already talked to her, interviewed her, and she was brutal. She was so mean. It was hard to get through. No, I'm glad you're doing this. We joked earlier that you were kind of voluntold to be on the podcast. So
no, I was doing it. So
well, here you are.
Yes.
We're going to talk about courageous careers. We're going to talk about just your journey and story and what you do at IGA and all that good stuff. You know, the Grit Factor podcast, grit is part of it's our mantra here. And so courage and taking risks and that kind of stuff is a big part of your success and a big part of what makes people successful here at IGA. So catch us up. Tell us your story. Where did you grow up? How did you meet Jamie and get to IGA and all that fun stuff?
Yes. So November 2017 is when I started here at IGA as an intern, actually.
Right.
I met Jamie at MTSU through a professor. I was sitting in a sales class. I don't want to be a salesperson. That's not why I was taking the class. It was just for fun. And had asked a question that related to an internship that I'd had previously over the summer related to insurance. And he reached out to the professor and got a hold of me through her, Lucy Matthews, who we've partnered with before through MTSU. And it went from there. So I knew one person who worked here who was also in some of my insurance classes and things. And then I went full time in May of 2017. Or 2018, rather.
Okay.
So that was lots of fun.
You've been here a minute.
I had, and it was just part-time because I was doing school and interning.
Okay.
Both at the same time.
Yeah.
May, when I went to go full-time, I thought I was starting at this level here below.
Right.
And then Andrew goes, psych, I'm going into sales. And somebody had to take over his entire book of business.
How much would that have been at that time?
In revenue, it was about $1 million or so, give or take a little bit.
And you're like,
70 to 100 clients.
Wow.
And I had just interned at this point. So I knew a tiny bit about insurance, but needed to learn a whole lot more.
So it was just like, you're in, go for it. Well, they must have seen something in you that were like, she can handle it. But talk about that. I mean, that takes a lot of courage to step into something like that. Coming from an intern, that had to be a daunting responsibility.
Yes, there were lots of late nights and lots of frustrations on my end, like trying to learn.
Right.
But also lots of questions and lots of not being afraid to fail and to know that I'm not always going to have the answer and let my clients know that as well. I would straight up tell people, I don't have an answer for you right now, but I will get back to you. And I would within a couple of hours, depending on how long it took me to find the thing that they needed.
Yeah.
Or if Andrew or Deidre at the time were in the office, asked them thousands of questions a day.
Yeah.
So.
Which that's been a theme on the podcast is just the freedom to ask questions, the freedom to fail forward, to be okay saying, I don't know how to do this at the moment, but help me figure this out. Has that been your experience?
Yes, 100%. So I've had some great mentors along the way. Greg Gorin, who's still part mentor here at IGA, and then Andrew, who's our COO now, and then Deidre, she moved back up north, so she does not work here any longer. But between those three, I had every question that I could possibly come up with answered.
I bet. How does that shape that early experience? How does that shape just how you navigate some of the complex responsibilities you have now? Because I'm sure it's you're on the other side of it now, right?
Yes. It's helped in talking with, as we've gotten new people, that's what I try and encourage them to do, is ask the same amount of questions that I ask them. Like, there's no question that's dumb. There's no question that probably I haven't I've probably asked the same question at some point because you don't know what you don't know.
That's good. That's good advice. What risks have you taken in your career, both maybe personally or professionally, whatever you're willing to share, but how has this idea of risk-taking and courage showed up in your life?
So being younger and in insurance, it is often, you think of age and you think of wisdom, and those two go hand in hand. But I'm a very quick learner and a very quick, like I know my things. And it's hard sometimes to overcome the age persona of you look very young, so you must not know what you're talking about, but I did. And so one thing here was taking on a rather large client who, they're still a client to this day and a great client, but just overcoming that, hey, I may be young and you may think I'm inexperienced due to age, but I do know what I'm talking about, or I do know how to find the answers for you.
Yeah, I love that. Well, and I love that the leadership here are not afraid to trust people who have shown, like, and again, it's not blind trust. You obviously worked hard and showed competence and all those different things, but they're able to say, no, we believe in you. We believe in, even in your youth, we believe that you have what it takes. We're going to give you some big responsibility here. We're going to coach you and help you along the way, but we're going to entrust you for that. And that was your experience, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. What about some specific examples of time where you took like a calculated risk that paid off for you? I mean, that's obviously a big one, especially since they're still a client. Was there any other ones you can think of?
I mean, just jumping in head first at the very beginning of my entire journey was the biggest risk. And then coming into IGA in general. So IGA was about 3 years old whenever I came to IGA.
So still a pretty young company, honestly. Yeah.
Yes. And so I took a risk on IGA as much as they took a risk on me. I didn't know what that was going to look like. It was a very somewhat calculated move on my part because I knew if this thing succeeded, and it has, it's been tremendous. It's had a great growth path and all of that, then it was going to be a great long-term opportunity. And versus going the other path where I had another opportunity that I could have taken, where I would have been in the brokerage wholesale space, which is a little different than what we do here, but it would have been a more steady, stable, not very fast paced upward trajectory like I've had here. Well,
if you don't mind me asking, what was it about when you were making that decision? What was it about IGA that said, hey, I'm going to go with this young company that, I don't know how it's going to pan out, because I've heard this story a couple of times now where someone had two opportunities in front of them. One was the stable path. One was this, we're going to follow this crazy Jamie guy down whatever road he's going. But there's something about it that just made you say, yeah, I'll take that risk. What was it for you?
I loved that it was young. I loved that everything, once I started as an intern, I could see it wasn't just it wasn't just, oh yeah, we do this. No, it was Jamie will invest and Jamie will do these things to make this better, versus the internship I'd had prior to that. It was very antiquated systems and it was very slow to make changes, and you could tell that. I mean, they'd been around for quite a long time compared to here, and maybe one day we'll get to a point where things kind of slow down, but I don't anticipate that. It was just knowing that everything was going to move quickly.
Yeah.
I'm a fast-paced person. My background came from serving and waiting tables and the fast food industry.
So you love the energy of it.
Yes.
That was really attractive to you. So it was like, hey, we're going to move fast. We're young. We're nimble.
Yes.
We're not locked into our old way of doing, like we've been here for 50 years. So we're not, Yes. So that was, would you encourage someone that because a lot of people that are listening or watching this are considering coming to IGA. Is that something is still important in someone's wiring and DNA, that they have some of that risk taking?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we had talked earlier that I had actually left IGA briefly and came back. And part of why I came back is because of the risk taking and wanting to be in a more fast paced environment. The other agency that I worked for almost a year, I went there for the opportunity to work with their larger clients. They had faith in me to do that, and I was very thankful. They were a great organization, but they have been around for a very long time, and they have the way that they do things. They're not construction focused, and ultimately I came back to IGA because of the fast-paced energy that contractors bring to the table.
Yeah, and I love that. It speaks volumes of the culture here. speaks volumes of you and your leadership and Jamie as well and the team that it ended well. And the fact that you, like, that's uncommon that someone comes back to an organization and it's like, yeah, you're always welcome here. You come back when so I think that's pretty unique, don't you? Like that happens. You don't hear that story very often.
Yes. And it was funny enough because originally I wasn't considering coming back when all of this went down and there were some personal changes going on. And I'm like, let's just reach out because there was nothing bad about IGA. I just needed a change because you don't know what you don't know. I started here as an intern straight out of college.
Yep.
And so I needed to see the other side of the coin there. And
what was that call like were you afraid to make the call or did you kind of have an idea of like, hey, no, I know they're safe?
So Jesse still was here and I could gauge it based off of that and what was going on.
So you let Jesse do little recon work for you?
Yes.
I love that. That's great. Well, talk about a little bit like in your risk taking now, like you talked about taking a risk just joining here and coming into a young company and we still are a young company, really. I mean, in a lot of respects. How do you assess risk taking now? Like, what does that look like now that you've been here for a while and it's grown in the company? How do you assess that? How do you know when it's a good risk, a healthy risk? Do you have a process or a filter for that?
No. So I don't, but the great thing about insurance is you're not doing brain surgery and you're not doing heart surgery. And at the end of the day, nobody's going to die. And so I guess that's kind of my mantra every day of if I fail, it will be fine and we'll fix it and nobody's hurt and it's a problem that can be resolved.
Yeah, I love that. Well, this might feel like a little bit of a right turn, but I think it plays into this really perfectly because there's such a humility among the staff here. I sense it from you and from the leadership, and everyone else is like, yeah, we take risks, but sometimes we fail, but we're open-handed and we move fast and we make mistakes, but then it just takes a certain humility. Could you just maybe unpack? I know humility is a hard thing to talk about, especially if you're humble, but like what role has that played in your career when it comes to just being open-handed with risk-taking and being courageous?
So being able to talk to your client and let them fall on the sword. Like that's the phrase Jamie uses a lot. Just being able to say, hey, look, I messed up. Here's what's happened. And being able to face that directly with the client, I think is what sets a lot of people here apart compared to other agencies, especially. They just try to sweep it under the rug sometimes. And that's not falling on the sword and taking that blame and explaining to them either why you did it or how you fixed it or how you're going to fix it. Just is an important piece here.
Yeah, that's awesome. Talk a little bit more because you started down it, but I want to hear a little bit more for those watching or listening that might be looking to come on board at IGA in the future or exploring new careers here. Talk a little bit about how IGA fosters this environment where employees are actually almost empowered to take risks. How have you experienced that as an employee here?
So I don't know if I should talk about this part, but I will. So in the very early days of IGA, yes, risk-taking was encouraged and it absolutely was fostered, but Jamie was a lot more wired, maybe is the word for it, and a little more quick to reprimand.
Okay.
You just have to have thick skin, though.
Right.
And so Jamie's calmed down a lot. I think his children have done a lot for that. And so
having
Carly,
those girls, Carly is a saint too. Yeah.
So
well, and I will say, can I just interrupt real fast because I know Jamie so well. One thing that I love about him that actually trickles down through the culture is he is always growing and learning and wanting to get better. And so I think if Jamie was sitting here, he would say absolutely, and he would say, I hope in 5 years from now there's a better version of me than what you're experiencing now. That's a part of the culture here.
Yes.
Wouldn't you say?
Yes.
So I don't think he would feel any kind of shame around that at all. Yeah.
No, just growing and stuff. That's part of being here. And he knows that, and he knows and understands, and I know that. It was just a hard learning lesson sometimes at the beginning.
Right.
Right. Of he's not reprimanding you or talking to you to discourage you. It's, hey, this is a learning lesson, like we've got to get better. And so sometimes I just have a tender heart and I would take it a little more personally than I probably should have. Yeah. But he has calmed down in the way that he presents those areas too.
Yeah. So. And the heart here just with Jamie and everyone else, because even as a friend. I mean, Jamie's been very direct with me through the years, but the heart was always, like you said, out of love and to help me and to grow. And there's things that he said to me through the years that have really stuck with me, because most people are too afraid of people pleasing or whatever it might be to just shoot straight with you.
Yes.
And so, yeah, to your point, for someone looking to be here, this is a culture of courage, and you're allowed to fail, but it's also honesty. Like, don't come here thinking you're going to get coddled. You know,
Yes.
you're going to grow here, you know, because the leader of the organization is growing. So his expectation is we're all going to grow. I mean, have you found that to be true in your experience?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
So what advice would you give someone considering coming to IGA about embracing courage in their work?
Yep. So coming to IGA, you have to keep in mind that it's not about just the resources and things that they're going to provide to you. It's about what you do with those things. So pushing the boundaries and taking the initiative are very important factors coming here. It's not for someone who doesn't want to better themselves.
Yeah, that's really good. How do you encourage others to step out of their comfort zones and really to pursue ambitious goals? Because the thing I've learned in your story, even from the beginning, I mean, when you look back, it's kind of crazy. Like coming out of college, internship, not knowing much about it, being thrown into the deep end of the pool pretty early.
Yes.
But this has shaped who you've become as a person, right? Even the courage to go try something else, the courage to come back. I mean, all those are big, courageous decisions. You know, what are some examples or some encouragements you would have for people?
As I'm working with new people and new people are coming on, especially our very, very new to insurance people, I always encourage them to ask questions that no question is ever dumb. I have probably asked the same question, and to try things on your own. Like, it's okay if you're gonna fail. Like, fail hard, it'll be fine. Just get back up, dust off your pants, and you've got this.
Yeah,
it's
I
just
love that.
insurance, and no one's gonna die.
I love that. That's great perspective. All right, last and final question. Again, just speak to people who are listening or watching about the opportunities for growth here in courage, because what I love about your story is internship to where you are now. And I think what we want people to know is that when you work hard, when you demonstrate the grit factor, when you have courage, there can be a path for you here. What would you say to those people that are looking in?
We have some big dreams for the next 10 years. So the first 10 years, we reached 10 million, and we wanted to next that.
Wow.
So that means we're going to have fast-paced growth for people fresh in the insurance space.
Yeah.
There will be plenty of opportunities for those that want to go faster than your normal trajectory within the insurance industry.
Yeah, this is a spot for that.
Yes.
Alison, thank you so much. Great job. Thanks for doing it. See, it wasn't so bad.
No,
that was great.
no.
You might even come back and do it again, won't you?
No.
Well, thanks for your leadership here and the culture that you help curate. It makes a difference, so we're really grateful.
Yes, perfect. Thank you.